you ever feel overwhelmed by the relentless storm of modern life? The constant demands, the unexpected crises, the feeling that chaos is an unwelcome guest who has overstayed their welcome. It's a common human experience to crave a still point in this turning world, a sense of inner peace even when everything outside is in turmoil. This longing for calm isn't new, it's ancient. Imagine a man who stood at the helm of a vast empire, constantly besieged by war, plague, and betrayal. A man for whom chaos was not an occasional visitor but a daily companion. This man was Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor but also a profound philosopher. How did he, amidst such monumental pressures, cultivate an unshakable inner calm? His wisdom, centuries old, holds powerful keys for us today. The answer, Marcus discovered, doesn't lie in eliminating external chaos, an often impossible task. Instead, it resides in forging an internal fortress, a sanctuary within your own mind. This isn't about suppressing emotions or ignoring reality. It's about transforming your relationship with reality, starting from the inside out. It's about finding your own emperorship over your inner state. We often believe our distress comes directly from external events, a difficult boss, a global crisis, a personal setback. But Marcus Aurelius, through Stoic philosophy, invites us to look deeper. He proposed that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of those events. Our judgments, our stories about what's happening, are the true architects of our inner turmoil or peace. Consider this. The same event can be experienced by two people in vastly different ways. One might see a canceled plan as a disaster, fueling frustration. Another might see it as an unexpected opportunity for rest or a different activity, feeling relief. The event is neutral. The chaos or calm comes from the meaning we assign to it. This is our first crucial insight into the emperor's secret. Marcus Aurelius governed one of the largest empires in history. Imagine the sheer volume of information, problems, and demands he faced. He couldn't control the incursions of barbarian tribes, the spread of disease, or the ambitions of others. If his peace depended on controlling these external factors, he would have known no peace at all. His focus had to be elsewhere. He turned his gaze inward. He understood that while the world outside might rage, the world inside, his thoughts, his principles, his responses, was his to command. This is the fundamental principle. Distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot. Pour your energy into the former and cultivate acceptance for the latter. This isn't passivity, it's profound wisdom. What can you truly control? Not the weather, not the past, not the actions of other people. You control your judgments, your intentions, your efforts, your will, and how you choose to react. These are your sovereign domain. The chaos of the world loses much of its power when you realize its inability to touch this core of your being without your consent. Marcus Aurelius wrote his famous Meditations, not as a philosophical treatise for others, but as a personal journal, a series of reminders to himself. He was constantly practicing this art of inner governance. He would remind himself that the universe is change, and that fighting this inevitable flow is a source of suffering. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This famous Stoic quote, embraced by Marcus, reframes obstacles. Instead of seeing a problem as a roadblock, see it as a chance to practice virtue, patience, creativity, resilience, courage. The obstacle itself becomes the material for your inner work. When chaos erupts, our first instinct is often to react emotionally, with fear, anger, or despair. Marcus would advise pausing. In that pause, create a space between the event and your response. Ask yourself, is this event within my control? If not, how can I meet it with virtue and reason, rather than unthinking reaction? He understood the power of perception. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This doesn't mean there's no objective reality, but that our experience of it is filtered through our minds. Changing the filter changes the experience, even if the external facts remain the same. This is where your power truly lies. Think of your mind as a garden. External events are like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy. You can't always control the weather, but you can choose what you plant in your garden. Seeds of panic and resentment, or seeds of acceptance, courage, and constructive thought. You can tend to these thoughts, nurturing the ones that lead to inner calm. Marcus Aurelius would often engage in a practice sometimes called premeditation of evils, premeditatio malorum. This isn't about dwelling on negativity, but about mentally preparing for potential difficulties. By imagining challenges in advance, he could strip them of their shock value and rehearse a calm, reasoned response, strengthening his inner citadel. This practice helps to build resilience. When you've already considered the worst-case scenarios and affirmed your capacity to handle them with your inner resources, actual events, even if difficult, become less terrifying. You've already faced them in your mind and decided that your inner peace will not be their casualty. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. This powerful assertion highlights the role of your judgment. External events can cause pain or loss, but harm in the Stoic sense often refers to the damage to our character, our inner state, which only we can allow. When faced with adversity, Marcus would ask, "What virtue has nature given me to deal with this situation?" For impatience, patience. For cruelty, kindness. For fear, courage. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to exercise and strengthen these inner qualities. The chaos outside becomes fuel for inner growth. The concept of the inner citadel is central. Imagine a fortress within you, built of reason, virtue, and self-awareness. No matter how fierce the siege of external events, this citadel can remain untouched, a source of peace and strength. But it needs to be actively built and maintained through daily practice. How do you build this citadel? One stone at a time. Each time you choose a reasoned response over a knee-jerk reaction. Each time you focus on what you can control. Each time you remind yourself of your core principles. Each time you practice gratitude or compassion even in difficulty. One of the enemies of calm is excessive worry about the future or rumination on the past. Marcus advocated for focusing on the present moment. This is where life is lived. This is where your power of choice exists. The past is unchangeable, the future uncertain. Anchor yourself in the now. Today I escaped anxiety. Or no, I discarded it because it was within me in my own perceptions, not outside. This insight from Marcus is liberating. Anxiety is not an external attacker, it's an internal pattern of thought. And what is within you, you have the power to change. This doesn't mean you won't feel negative emotions. Marcus was human. He surely felt grief, frustration, fear. The key is not to be ruled by them. Acknowledge them, understand their source in your judgments, and then guide your actions by reason and virtue, not by the fleeting storm of emotion. He also believed in our connection to a larger whole, the cosmos or nature. Understanding that we are part of a vast, interconnected system, governed by natural laws, can bring a sense of perspective. Our individual struggles, while significant to us, are small parts of a grander, unfolding process. This can lessen the feeling of personal affront from chaos. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, and do so with all your heart. This echoes the idea of amor fati, a love of one's fate. Not a resignation, but an embrace of reality as it is, finding purpose and meaning within it, rather than constantly wishing it were different. When you cease to fight reality, an enormous amount of energy is freed up. This energy can then be channeled into constructive action, into living your values, into building your inner citadel. The chaotic event itself might not change, but your capacity to navigate it, and even thrive, increases dramatically. Imagine the emperor, after a day of dealing with military crises, political intrigues, and perhaps personal loss, retreating to his tent or chambers. He wouldn't distract himself with fleeting pleasures. He would turn to his journal, to philosophy, to recalibrate his mind and reinforce his principles. This was his active practice of staying calm. He would remind himself of the impermanence of all things. Empires rise and fall. Fame fades. Even life itself is transient. This perspective, far from being morbid, can be deeply calming. It helps to detach from an overinvestment in things that are, by their very nature, fleeting and uncontrollable. What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee. Marcus emphasized our social nature and duty to others. Part of inner calm comes from knowing you are acting for the common good, fulfilling your role with integrity. Self-centeredness often breeds anxiety. Service can bring a sense of purpose that transcends personal troubles. So how can we, in our modern lives, apply this emperor's wisdom? Start small. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a chaotic situation, pause, take a breath. Create that space between stimulus and response. This simple act is the first step towards reclaiming your inner peace. Then ask yourself, what part of this situation is truly within my control? Shift your focus relentlessly to that. Perhaps it's not the external problem, but your attitude towards it, your next small action, your decision to seek help, or your choice to maintain your composure. Examine your judgments. Are you catastrophizing? Are you assuming the worst? Challenge those initial, often automatic negative thoughts. Is this opinion a fact or just my perspective? Marcus would ask. Reframe the thought if you can towards something more rational and constructive. Remember your inner citadel. Visualize it. What does it look like? What are its foundations made of? Your values, your past successes in overcoming adversity, your core beliefs. Regularly visit this place in your mind, especially when feeling besieged. It is your inviolable sanctuary. Practice the view from above. Imagine yourself looking down on your life, your city, the world from a great height, like an astronaut or a god. See your current problem in that vast context. Often, its perceived magnitude shrinks. This cosmic perspective can bring instant relief and a sense of proportion. Focus on your actions, not necessarily the outcomes. You can control your effort, your intention, your integrity in performing a task. You cannot always control the result, as it often depends on external factors. Find satisfaction in doing your part well, regardless of the specific outcome. This detaches your peace from uncontrollable variables. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. If someone acts unjustly towards you, reacting with similar negativity only drags you down to their level and disturbs your own peace. Instead, respond with virtue, with integrity, fairness, or even calm detachment. This preserves your character. Cultivate gratitude. Even in chaotic times, there are things to be grateful for: a moment of quiet, a supportive friend, your own resilience, the beauty of nature. Actively seeking out and acknowledging these can shift your entire mental state from scarcity and frustration to abundance and peace. Understand that your mind is like a muscle. The more you practice these Stoic principles, focusing on your control, managing judgments, acting virtuously, the stronger your calm muscle becomes. It takes consistent effort, like an emperor diligently training his legions or himself. Don't aim for a life devoid of challenges. That's unrealistic and unfulfilling. Aim for a life where you are strong enough internally to meet those challenges with grace and wisdom. The goal is not a calm sea, but to be a skilled captain who can navigate any storm. Marcus Aurelius wasn't born a sage. He cultivated his wisdom through constant self-reflection and practice. His meditations are a testament to this ongoing inner work. This path to inner calm is available to anyone willing to walk it, step by step. You don't need to be an emperor to rule your inner kingdom. Consider the alternative: a life spent reacting to every gust of wind, every piece of bad news, constantly feeling like a victim of circumstance. This is a recipe for chronic stress and unhappiness. The Stoic path offers an empowering alternative: to be an active agent in shaping your inner experience. The chaos Marcus faced was immense. Wars on multiple fronts, a devastating plague, the Antonine Plague, conspiracies, and the burdens of absolute power. Yet, his writings radiate a profound serenity. This wasn't because his life was easy, but because his philosophical practice was strong. He would remind himself, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are predominantly anxious, fearful, or resentful, your inner world will reflect that. If you consciously cultivate thoughts of courage, acceptance, and reason, your soul will take on these brighter hues. This is not about positive thinking in a superficial sense of ignoring problems. It's about right thinking, thinking clearly, rationally, and in alignment with your deepest values, even when acknowledging difficulties. It's about perceiving reality accurately, without the distortions of unexamined emotions or biases. Every morning, Marcus would prepare himself for the day by anticipating the difficult people he might encounter. The meddling, the ungrateful, the arrogant. Not to become cynical, but to resolve in advance not to let their behavior disturb his own equanimity or divert him from his duty. Begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." This mindset prepared him not to take such behaviors personally, but to see them as a product of others' lack of wisdom. This understanding fostered a kind of detached compassion. Instead of anger, he could aim for understanding, or at least, not letting their faults become his own by reacting with anger or bitterness. His goal was to maintain his own internal harmony, regardless of external provocations. The core message is one of profound empowerment. You are not merely a passive recipient of life's chaos. You are an active participant, capable of cultivating an inner landscape of profound peace and resilience. The Emperor's secret is that true power lies within. This inner work is a lifelong journey, not a quick fix. There will be days when calm is elusive, when old reactive patterns resurface. Marcus himself acknowledged his own struggles. The key is gentle persistence, returning to these principles again and again, like returning to a well for nourishing water. He often wrote about the shortness of life. This wasn't to induce fear, but to create urgency and focus. If life is short, why waste it on trivial anxieties, on anger, on things outside your control? Why not dedicate it to what truly matters? Living virtuously, cultivating wisdom, and contributing to the common good. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is a call to action. Philosophy, for Marcus, was not an academic exercise but a practical guide to living. The ultimate test of these ideas is not in understanding them, but in embodying them. So the next time chaos knocks, remember the Emperor. Remember his tools. The pause, the distinction between control and no control, the examination of judgment, the retreat to the inner citadel. These are not just relics of the past. They are timeless strategies for human flourishing. Your mind can be your greatest tormentor or your most steadfast ally. The choice, as Marcus Aurelius continually reminded himself, is yours. By deliberately cultivating your inner world, you build a sanctuary that no external storm can truly breach. The peace Marcus sought was not a fragile, fleeting calm dependent on perfect circumstances. It was a robust, resilient equanimity, an internal stability that could withstand the shocks of a turbulent life. This is the kind of peace worth striving for. He understood that tranquility is an art, cultivated through discipline and awareness. It's about training your attention, refining your thoughts, and aligning your actions with your core principles. Like any art, it requires practice, patience, and dedication. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. For Marcus, living meant living in accordance with nature and reason, fulfilling one's potential for wisdom and virtue. This active, principled engagement with life is itself a source of profound calm. Your inner citadel isn't just a defensive structure. It's also a source of proactive strength. From this place of inner calm and clarity, you can engage with the world more effectively, make better decisions, and offer your best self to others, even amidst chaos. The emperor's wisdom teaches us that external chaos often magnifies internal vulnerabilities. By shoring up our inner foundations, our self-awareness, our values, our ability to manage our thoughts, we become less susceptible to the turmoil around us. Look back over the past, with its changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too. This historical perspective helps contextualize current crises. Humanity has faced and overcome immense challenges before. This too shall pass, and what matters is how we conduct ourselves through it. Each moment you choose calm over reactivity, reason over rash emotion, you are not just managing a situation, you are actively shaping who you are becoming. You are building character, the only true possession that cannot be taken from you. The promise of this philosophy is not an escape from life's difficulties, but the development of an unshakable core that allows you to meet those difficulties with wisdom and grace. It is the path to becoming your own emperor, ruling the most important territory, your inner world. When external events feel overwhelming, remember that your primary task is to manage your internal response. This is where your agency lies. This is your sphere of influence. Focus here, and you'll find that the external chaos has less power over your well-being. This is not about emotional suppression. It is about emotional regulation, acknowledging your feelings without letting them dictate your actions, allowing them to pass through you like weather, while your core principles remain your steady guide. Marcus Aurelius found solace and strength in journaling, in articulating his thoughts and reaffirming his philosophical commitments. Consider this practice. Writing down your challenges, your responses, and your aspirations can bring immense clarity and reinforce your path to inner calm. The emperor's wisdom is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to find meaning and peace, even in the most trying of circumstances. It's a legacy of resilience that speaks directly to our modern anxieties. The path to calm is an internal one. The essence of his approach: accept what you cannot change, have the courage to change what you can, primarily yourself, and cultivate the wisdom to know the difference. This simple yet profound formula is a master key to navigating chaos. So, as you face the inevitable storms of life, remember you carry within you the capacity for extraordinary calm. It is not a gift given to a select few, but a skill developed through conscious effort and the application of timeless wisdom. The chaos of the world will continue. That is its nature, but it need not dictate the state of your soul. Your mind, when rightly governed, can be an impregnable fortress of peace, a source of unwavering strength. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor-philosopher, showed us that true sovereignty is self-sovereignty. The ability to remain calm, principled, and purposeful, regardless of external circumstances, is the ultimate expression of human freedom and dignity. Take this insight with you. Your inner world is your primary responsibility and your greatest source of power. Cultivate it with care, with wisdom, and with courage. This is how an emperor stayed calm in chaos, and how you can too. The peace you seek is not in a distant future or a different circumstance. It is here, now, accessible through the gates of your own mind. What one small step will you take today to strengthen your inner calm, inspired by the wisdom of an emperor?